Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Jeff Biesman. Jeff is the Chief Marketing Officer of National Debt Relief, also goes by NDR, and we'll talk, not surprisingly, about the debt marketplace today, as well as how that's shaping up in 2024. But Jeff, before we get there, let's talk a little bit about you. Tell me about your background and your career.
Oh gosh, okay. I'll just start with born in Texas. I've moved around quite a bit. I find myself, to your point, in not so sunny Southern California. I've been out here for quite some time. Personally, 3 kids, love being a dad. They're grown up, so now it's all about money and talking back and all that good stuff, but awesomely fulfilling for me, I guess, on a personal level outside of my vocation. A little bit of a biohacker, into fitness. I know we're not going to talk about any of that stuff today. A little bit into kind of like pseudoscience. And I guess my kryptonite is I'm also kind of a little bit of a wine guy. So
Wow.
being in the gym and trying to eat what they're now telling you the narrative is to eat, I offset with my kryptonite.
I'm based here down in Florida, so I always hope it's a sunny day, but it's not super bright today either here. But I mean, Jeff, here you find yourself as the Chief Marketing Officer at National Debt Relief. And now you guys are doing a lot of stuff. You've been there for a couple of years now. Tell me a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, so I've been in the seat for about 3.5 years. I'm very much about alignment of a company's mission with personal values, and having, just like you, been around the block a few times, done a few things, it's more rare than you think. And part of the reason I get up every morning and I love what we do is it totally aligns with my values. And I know it sounds trite because you hear it a lot. I've heard it through my career. We're out there doing good work and we're trying to help people, but genuinely, that's what this company is about. And we make a life-changing impact. So my heart's full every morning when I come to work, and it's full at night. And that kind of gets me up and going the next day.
So, I mean, I have for National Debt Relief really that classic story, which is you've been around for a while, since I think around 2009, and helped over 550,000 people get out of debt, reclaim their independence, and get their life back. I mean, tell me a little bit about how you guys think about telling that story, the National Debt Relief story, to the marketplace.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, it took just a few minutes to sort of understand the true value in what we do for consumers. And so functionally, if you're struggling with debt, our objective is to get you out of debt, but that's sort of not what we're really doing. When somebody is gripped with debt, they have an identity flattening experience. So they may have been a person of diversity or multiple interests before that debt kind of like begins to basically crush them. And then they are reduced, and we see this in our research, to being either a victim or a villain, depending on how you think about finances in the credit system. So imagine wearing that around all the time. That's how you identify. You're no longer Bant, not sure if you're a father or what all your interests are. Those things aren't part of your identity anymore. You're walking around with that. It is a soul-crushing experience. It affects you emotionally, mentally, and physically. And we're in a business where we not only restore that humanity, and I know that sounds a little bit kind of corny, but it's really not. It's exactly what happens. So getting somebody out of debt is really what we do, but not only do we restore that humanity, and redimensionalize that person, we like to call it plus one, because most of the people that graduate from our program are better than they were before. They've learned new financial habits. They're more responsible with their money. They know how to budget effectively. And we see this time and time again. They're doing things that they never thought were possible before they found us. And so for me, it's like amazing that that's actually the value proposition, if you want to call it that, that we offer to the consumer. And so we like to think about it in that way, and not just the rational benefits of how fast we can get you out of debt or how much we can reduce that debt, but literally relief is in our brand name.
Mm-hmm.
We offer the consumer in kind of every facet of their humanity.
So, I mean, that's wonderful. I mean, I think we all want some form of relief. Debt relief is key after, especially going through the crazy COVID years and that up and down swing. And I remember seeing an article talking about things like credit card debt in the latter part of last year being kind of at an all-time high in the U.S. market. Where do we find ourselves today in terms of really debt solutions in the market?
Yeah, so the number, I think the last time that it was published was over 1.1 trillion,
Wow.
and that marked about a 5% quarter over quarter growth rate. I expect that number to continue to rise, and it's simply because even though interest rates have kind of plateaued, the Fed's going to hold them. I think Powell recently said some of the key indicators that would be a good sign for them to begin to lower Fed funds, which can have an impact on credit card APRs and other things aren't there. But just think about the cost of that debt burden that
Mm-hmm.
the consumer has right now. And so you've got this unfortunate market for consumers where the cost to service the debt that's not really going away because so many people are just making minimum payments
Mm-hmm.
on their credit cards is going up. Core inflation may have settled, but it's still really, really high. Interest rates, if you're trying to do, let's say, a consolidation loan to kind of remove that revolving debt that you might have, whatever it is, credit card, medical, legal, other things, is still extraordinarily high. And so you've got all these people that they're just struggling, and they can ill afford even an unexpected expense of a few $100s a month, or they're really off the rails. The American consumer is absolutely struggling. And while we are not cheering for that, we are grateful that we have the opportunity to help so many people, especially in the market that we're in today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Jeff, you've had a career here. Obviously, you're working as the chief marketing officer for National Debt Relief, but clearly, this is kind of a pathway that you've been on for a while, working in a wide variety of really incredible businesses. Tell me a little bit about kind of what drives you to come up and work on the marketing stories for these businesses. I always kind of say, like, what is it? Why did you choose this? And where does the passion come from?
You know, the first thing is I'm truly fascinated with marketing and consumer behavior. So, I'm like, don't get into the business if you don't like that, and if you don't consider it a puzzle, right?
Hmm.
And you're trying to really unlock what motivates people, and how to tell the right story. All the sort of right place, right time, right message kind of stuff. But I just try to align myself with businesses and mission first companies. And so, like I said, I'm very heart centered.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you've been in or around a business, and I'm not going to name any names, where you're like, this just doesn't feel right. And so I've tried throughout my career to align myself with a brand and a company that has a mission that feels right, because when you get that right, then the work it not to say the work is easy, but the work is easier because
Right.
personal passion and that motivation really kind of comes through. And so for me, that's really what drives me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a powerful story to have to tell. And it's, I think in this particular one, it's a nice combination where you do have a commercial product that does help people. And so in some ways that's a nice thing to sell, nice thing to be able to push out there. But certainly you've alluded to the fact that we live in interesting times and a world where I think everyone thinks about the interest rate. Probably one of these things, I think, back in the COVID days, suddenly we all thought about medicine and medical issues in a way that we perhaps don't think about it every day. And now everyone's thinking about the interest rates. So, I think probably for me, some days I get to talk to people that are knowledgeable about this, and this is one of those days. So, I mean, if you're putting on your hat here, Jeff, I mean, what does the rest of the year look like for all of us? I mean, are we gonna see some relief, or do you see it kind of as kind of stay the course?
If you'd asked me, about a month ago, and a
Yeah,
lot of people, they would have said, yeah, certainly by the end of the year, the Fed is going to lower, interest rates, cost of funds, et cetera. But recently, like I said, it's hard to tell. If I had a crystal ball and I knew the answer, I would absolutely share it with you.
yeah,
And as a consumer, just like all of us, trust me, I've got an auto loan, I've got a home loan, right? And it's like, yes, that would be great. I just don't think you can bank on it right now. And if
yeah.
you look at where we were at historic lows
Hmm.
for quite some time. And so I'm not saying we'll never get there again. I just don't know if it's going to happen this year. Having said that, if you look at the inverse of that, right now I don't expect that rates are going to go up and up and up. If you looked at what happened in 22, 23, and you kind of plotted it, there was a
Hmm.
pretty steady climb. And then I think the midpoint or the fourth quarter of last year, somewhere in there, they started to flatten out a bit. And I think
Yeah.
we're there for a while. That's my educated guess.
Wow. Well, we'll keep our eyes peeled on this space. And Jeff, thank you so much for being on Uncaged. If someone wanted to get in touch with you to learn more about national debt relief, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so the best place to find us is at www.nationaldebtrelief.com. And you know what? I want to make sure that I have the right phone number here. So just give me a moment. I like to consider myself to be prepared, but that was the one thing that I didn't have in front of me. 1-800 300-9550. And if somebody is struggling with debt, and this isn't a PSA, it's just a matter of fact, just give us a call. The one thing that I love about the company is if you're not a fit for the program or it doesn't make sense, you're not getting sold. So a consultation makes sense for somebody if they're trying to figure out if debt relief is a good option for them or maybe something else is. So that's the best way to find us online or through the 800 number I just provided.
Well, I really appreciate coming on the show today. We've been speaking with Jeff Biesman. He's the Chief Marketing Officer at National Debt Relief, which is a company that's helped out over 550,000 people get out of debt, reclaim their independence, and get their life back on track. And it's been really interesting to talk to Jeff. I mean, I think some of the things that really pop here is successful marketing is a lot of times about aligning your values with the purpose and making sure that those things move forward. And so it's kind of getting that passion in the right direction. So, Jeff, thank you so much for telling the story, and we look forward to having you back.
And I loved it. Thank you for making the time for me. And it's great working with you guys.